Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Audiotree Live. It is June 24th, 2024, and I'm your host, FINGY. Before we get into today's session, I urge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay in the loop with all the amazing music we have going down in this studio. With that being said, we're on all streaming services, so Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, you name it, we're there. You're welcome. But with that being said, and without further ado, I am beyond privileged and stoked to introduce a little Midwest-raised, BK-based Huntertones. Take it away, boys. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna say what everybody at home is thinking right now. These cats are swinging, man.
Hey.
Yo, I felt I felt Roy in the building. I felt D'Angelo in the building. Like,
Yes.
I love also there was like that section where like it's this conversation that's almost continued. Like right when I thought you were about to finish your last measure, my bro picked it up and then picked it up and then there's something about jazz that is this rejuvenating and refueling frequency compared to other maybe more draining genres. What is it about jazz for y'all that resonates? Why do you choose, or why do you feel as though maybe you were chosen to play this?
I think our heroes in the jazz tradition are people that challenged to follow an idea that they didn't really know how it was going to be completed, and which takes a lot of courage. It's like running in a race where you don't know when the finish line is, or jumping off a cliff not knowing how far down you're about to fall. But following it and then using your band and listening, using all, it's living in the moment. And that's truth. So the way that you live, the way that you bring what you bring to the music is what comes out of your horn and your instrument. And so for all of us, we're all listening together and trying to share that truth, but play in the moment. That's the most exciting thing for us.
Totally. I think about me, Josh talks about this all the time. We had the fortune of meeting the legendary Wayne Shorter, rest in peace. But, people talk about, like, what does jazz mean, or what is the definition of jazz? And Wayne says that jazz means I dare you. And so when you think about that, it's like what's beautiful about this music is that, there aren't rules, or the only rule is like how far can you stretch, or if you have an idea, how much of a conversation can you make out of that, or how much can you take that idea and just expand upon it. And I feel like in this band and in the years that we've been together, there's been an idea, and we just keep saying, like, I dare you to keep pushing that idea. And I think that's my favorite thing about the genre and the music in general.
The daringness.
You can't do it without energy, though.
That's it.
So there needs to be, like you were talking about, that push and that not being draining. So, like, there needs to be a force behind it, which is part of why Motionation, that came out of an idea of movement. If you're staying in place and actually not moving forward, in a band, it feels like you're moving backwards. And so with music, there needs to be this positive force with everybody that's both on and off stage, as human beings and musicians.
And the music that we make, it gives us a platform and an opportunity to use the energy within our band and the energy off of the stage with the crowds that show up to our shows. And in this room, even with, like, I was watching you vibe over here, and it was giving me energy.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I felt it.
It's been great. Yeah, it's just all about tossing energy around the room and feeding off of that and making something good out of it.
Yeah. No, the energy of a live performance in general is always palpable, and especially with jazz, it's to a next level. What I found interesting when I was listening to Cincy Kid, the recording of it, there was mixing techniques that I had never heard in jazz before. There was this moment where there was like this note that then hit like a quarter note delay and then like trailed off and then almost like reverse, like transient swept back to then the next note. Yeah. I was like, ugh, love that. But also in capturing this live sound and producing it into a recorded product, what are some of those sonic developments that you're trying to push forward, and how are you trying to sonically set your recordings apart from other contemporary jazz artists?
I got to shout out real quick.
Yes.
John Hubbell
Let him
over
know.
there on the drums has actually mixed our last 2 records, including Motionation. So I'm going to toss that question specifically to him because he has like been the factor behind the sound of the records. John Hubbell, what do you think about that question?
Let him know, Hubs.
First, that moment that you're talking about, thanks for noticing that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I can't take all the credit for that. I wish I could, but the delay itself was actually Jon Lampley's idea. And then we had that in the mix, and Dan was listening to it over at my place, and he had the idea for the sweep back into the next note. So I just crafted it. But in a larger sense, I think something that we go for that's different from other bands is less compression, kind of maintaining the phrasing that the horns do, because that's such an important part of the identity of this band, is like that they have a really tight hookup with their phrasing, and we don't want to lose that by smashing everything and kind of making it all perfect or whatever that means.
Right.
So yeah, having them as like the three lead singers is a phrase that keeps coming back when we're mixing. It's kind of different from the typical horn band thing where the rhythm section is big and then the horns are kind of the sauce, like they're kind of far away, like on a Michael Jackson record or something.
Right.
So I would say those two things combined are the defining elements rather than any specific effects
Yeah.
or moments.
Yeah, I liked your point of having them as almost the lead singers. And I was thinking, actually, when y'all were playing, like, are there ever lyrics or poetry maybe that comes to your mind when you are doing these, like, lead runs that, you know, never see the day of light but are held in your heart?
Sometimes that leads to like the rhythm of certain melodies, drawing inspiration from words. I can't remember lyrics very well, so that's I'm fortunate to be a saxophonist in that regard, so that I don't completely show my behind when I'm skating on some lyrics. But usually it's just the inner voice, trying to make the inner voice write it down. And a lot of where we live is that in between improvising and writing. You know, the only difference is the passage of time. You can edit compositions, but really it's the same thing. You're listening to that same source for inspiration, and just trying to record it and write it down and then share it with everybody.
Let it flow.
Yeah.
Sick. And y'all have toured the world. We've hit South America, we've hit Europe, we've hit Africa. How has global rhythm and melody over time transformed and transfused into your sound? Are there has bossa nova really like clicked somebody's ears? Have you gotten some samba under the belt? Like what has resonated with you and what has been injected?
Yeah, I mean, we can toss this one around a little bit. We literally are a bunch of kids from the Midwest, from relatively small towns, and I'm talking from towns with 5,000 people to towns with 1 traffic light. Mm-hmm. And so in 2015, we had the opportunity to travel with the State Department, and so you're talking about Josh over there. He had been on a plane to Disney World, and then it was we're gonna fly to West Africa, and we're gonna hang with musicians and experience that music and culture. So to say that that music, not just the music, but the culture, it's the way people live, the way people interact with each other, that has been extremely influential to us, both in the way that we write specific songs, but also just in the way that we play individually and collectively. We actually made an album called Passport that was literally, and every song is inspired by a place we went, a sound we heard, an event that happened on tour. But I think that our traveling has almost subconsciously and consciously slipped into the way that we play and the way that we write. I mean, I'm sure we can all talk a little bit to that a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I can't really think of exact specifics. I mean, I think Togo, making music in Lomé, was one of the most profound experiences, not knowing where one is and playing with percussion ensembles and horn players. But I think to what Jon was getting to is it changed a lot of why and how we play music, not exactly what we're playing. You know, it just, it brought back the idea of, we played at an orphanage where there was no English speakers, and just grateful that we had instruments to share something with other human beings. And that's really the biggest thing that whole program is about, we're all citizens of the world and trying to share in our humanity, and, We try and bring that energy of like everybody's invited to this party. This is not an elitist club that you need to study jazz music or the history of horn bands to understand a Huntertones show. Everybody's welcome, and you can feel that energy. I think, we try and craft that so that it's palpable and invite the audiences to participate, because for us, the more energy we get from the crowd, the more that we can give people and make them feel a little bit better than before the show. That's the mission.
Yeah, I love the why and how instead of the what. That's a really interesting take. And also just being able to explore and see different culture and see how different people live. It makes me wonder, beyond the horns, beyond the kit, beyond the music, where do you typically go to find inspiration?
Chris, where do you go to find inspiration?
Come on.
The inspiration kind of comes from everywhere. I mean, we're constantly sharing different music with each other. Like, hey, you got to check out this band. You got to check this out. Or just, for me, too, just walking around New York, walking around wherever, if I hear something, like, it might not even be a song. It could be, like, the sound of traffic or, like, a bird call. There's a song that we wrote that was based on a bird call in Zimbabwe. So it kind of comes from the environment, and I'm really into, like, me personally, like, weird sounds, like, oh, what is that? Like, I need to record that. Like,
Right.
This air conditioner in Bolivia sounds insane in this gymnasium. Like,
Crazy
let's
swing.
explore that. Or, like, you find, like, a super reverby room and just go in there and just play and just hear how the sound reacts. So, yeah, the inspiration is always coming from everywhere, I think.
The inspiration for me really has always been, continues to be, the people around me. I mean, they are my teachers. These cats are my teachers. Everybody that I meet, whether they're playing music or whether they're just living their life, they're a kind of teacher. And when you play music, music is direct transmission. Direct transmission of the soul of that person. You can really hear everything in it. You can hear their anxiety, their suffering. You can hear their joy. You can hear the sorrow. You can hear everything. No questions are left, because of music. And really, I mean, I can stream all day, and I won't learn nearly as much as if I listen to the people that I'm playing with. It's the gift. The people are the gift.
People are the gift.
Yeah.
I love. And y'all people are a gift to me. Like, truly, there's a reason I said at the beginning, like, I'm always like, oh, I'm so stoked. I'm like, I'm privileged and stoked because I get paid to do this. I'd pay to be here, y'all. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And let's run a couple more.
All right.
Thank you so much, Huntertones, for being here.
For having us.
This thought dawned upon me towards the end, and I mean this in the most prestigious way, but like, y'all are like ballerinas. Like the articulation of, like, when feeling and technique come together in the way that y'all allowed to come together, it's like fucking Swan Lake, man.
Wow.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Website bio for us.
Dude, I got you.
Use that.
It's literally, it is written.
Yes.
Hey, and you know what? Off the love, too. We don't even have to do all that. Beautiful. Thank you to our crew for getting this done and for capturing this beautiful moment. And thank y'all for watching. We could not be doing this without you. By the time you are watching it, it's on all streaming services. So again, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, you name it. Run it back to back to back to back, because why would you not? My name is FINGY. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
All right, so you guys want to do it for real now?